Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Now in today's episode we're going to be taking a look at Desktop Architect, which is a customization tool for Windows that was released in the late 90s by Ken A. Foster. And this is pretty much a replacement to the display properties panel in the control panel. You guys are all familiar with this, I'm sure. Though it doesn't replace it entirely, it just gives you another interface to modify pretty much all of the options in here, as well as some additional things that you can't modify from within the display properties panel normally. And the best part, of course, is this was freeware. It was completely free to download, and we've got two versions to explore today, version 1.0 and the final release 2.11. So we're going to start by just installing version 1.0 here. And despite the name, this was not the first version of Desktop Architect. There were some 0.0 releases that came before this. So it's your standard install shield wizard. You know, you got your license agreement here that you just want to, of course, read completely. And it installs, interestingly, to a freeware directory in program files. That's the default directory. So this was changed, I believe, in version 2.11. It changes it to just Desktop Architect. Just a little, not really super important thing of note there that I noticed anyway. And yeah, there you go. Desktop Architect has finished its installation, and you get this little pop-up here from the WinZip self-extractor with some credits and all that. And now, if we go into our Start menu, and we go to our Programs folder, we've got Desktop Architect right down here at the bottom. And when you launch it for the first time, it will prompt you and say it's not currently the default application for desktop theme files. Would you like it to be? We're going to say yes, because that's rather important. I'll touch on that in a minute. And we've got a README file as well. So we can open this up. We'll minimize the program itself and take a brief look at the README. So you see there's a changelog here, and if we scroll down, version 0.72b very well may have been the first version, at least the first publicly released one, or maybe there were versions before this that just aren't included in this changelog. In fact, I think that there probably were, because you see these are like bug fixes, numerous minor fixes, added ability to do this, added new mail notifications. So yeah, I guess there were versions prior to that, but for whatever reason, they're just not in this changelog. Now, there were some known issues in this version, particularly relating to window blinds, which is, see, Stardock is coming up again. I said this in a previous video. Stardock, we keep coming back to Stardock in some capacity, and the help still needs to be completed. Yeah, the help documentation is not completed at all in this version. So if we go to help and contents, there's just straight up, I mean, there is some stuff in here, but you go to Welcome to Desktop Architect, and it says under Getting Started, please realize that most of this help file has not been completed yet. So yeah, there is an FAQ that is, I mean, it's got stuff in here at least. So I love the first question. When I run Desktop Architect with window blinds, it blows up, which isn't a question. It's just they just added a question mark to the end. And so the author says you must add da.exe to your window blinds exclusion list. This has been tested as of window blind 0.9. And yeah, there's some stuff about Norton Utilities there, and someone asked, can you add support for additional system icons? And the author did that in version, I mean, I'm sure it came before version 2.11, but you'll see in version 2.11, there have been some additional things added that you can't do here in version 1.0. But enough about all that. Let's actually take a look at the software. So right off the bat, it kind of looks like you've got your standard, you know, Windows customization options in here. You've got sounds, icons, pointers. We'll get to this stuff in a minute because this is not standard stuff. But yeah, your sounds here is pretty much just taken from the sound properties panel in control panel, so you can go through and, you know, customize your sounds however you want. Icons, you've got the same 5 icons that you can modify from display properties. If we go in here under, I believe it is effects, yes, so you got your desktop icons in here, so you got that same stuff here. Mouse pointers, you've got the same stuff. But we get into logos here. This is where it gets pretty cool. So this program actually allows you to modify your startup, shutdown, and wait screens, which is the screen that comes up as Windows is shutting down. Now, this is really simple to do in Windows 9X. You just have to modify a few files on your C drive, but it's nice that Desktop Architect just gives you a nice front end to do this. Maybe if messing around with system files in Windows Explorer kind of freaked you out a bit, this would be a lot more pleasant to use, a lot easier. It also automatically backs up the original version, so you can easily revert back to them. That's what this Use Default button is for. So I actually have, if we go to Browse here, I have made a modified boot screen here. We'll go to the desktop, And we will go into my 98 mod folder here, and I've got logo.sys, which is just a BMP renamed as a sys file. That's literally all there is to it. And there we go. So here's my super awesome non-animated boot screen. I know I didn't really bother with the animation. This is really just for demo purposes here, but you could make an animated one if you wanted to, and it would animate here accordingly. So yeah, I can hit apply, and now if I restart, I will have the modified boot screen. And if I want to revert back to the original, I just hit use default, and there it is, and I hit apply, and we're back to the default one. And I think the animate preview will start if I yeah, uncheck that and recheck it there. So we'll go ahead and just revert it back to my modded version here. And it's the exact same process for the shutdown and wait screens as well. But you, of course, had to make your own file, and chances are if you knew how to do that, you knew how to modify the system files just directly. But the cool thing about Desktop Architect, and what makes this pretty neat for novice users, is somebody could create an entire theme package here and then compile it into a file that anybody else with this program could download, and they could just have everything applied automatically. So if you wanted to use this with somebody else's theme that they made, it's really easy to do that, and I'll show you that process a little bit later on in the video. So we're going to the Web tab here because you've got 3 other things you can modify, and these are in Windows Explorer. So you know the left little image, and oh, apparently, oh, that's lovely. Okay, we got a blue screen of death. That's awesome. Wouldn't be an MJD video if something didn't go wrong. I don't know exactly what happened, but I'm guessing Windows did not like me opening up Windows Explorer with that existing prompt open. I think we might have to restart. So maybe we're going to see the boot screen anyway. Yeah, let's just restart. Okay, so maybe it didn't apply then. I hit the apply button. So, that's interesting. We'll have to check that out. Alright, let me open up Windows Explorer first, and I'll just show you what I was talking about. So, the left image here that you have in the background of My Documents and the icon, you can modify that. You can modify this bar here, this little like color bar that's underneath the My Documents text. And you can also modify what appears when you go into like the C drive and you have that these files are hidden. If you go into Windows, I think it'll be on here. Yeah, you can modify this image right here. So we'll go back into Desktop Architect because I have done all 3 of those. So we'll open it back up here. And let's see if it shows our, like if I go to logos, I guess it did not change. Okay, that's rather interesting. So we'll apply logo.sys. And apply, and then let's go to web, and we'll go to our left one here. We'll browse, and we'll go into our 98 mod folder, wvleft.bmp. We'll hit OK, and so there it is. And we will go down to line. I think we can probably just modify all of these and then hit apply. We don't have to do it after each one. So WV line, and we'll go down to logo, and we'll do that one there, and we'll hit apply. And now, I wonder if we have to restart Explorer. We'll just hit OK, and we'll open up Windows Explorer here. Oh no, there it is. It's all applied for us. So that did not come out as well as I thought it was going to, but there you go. And if we go into the C drive here, we can see it a little bit better. The text, unfortunately, yeah, I didn't really think of that. You can't really see the text there. So yeah, that I probably should change that. But if we go into Windows here, so here's the modified image down there, which I think is pretty nice. So yeah, let's go ahead and restart, and we'll see if the boot screen applied. So we'll shut down and restart. Got that shutdown sound that takes a little bit too long to play the entire thing. And it didn't... Okay. It didn't work for some reason. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, because I tested this off camera and it worked fine. Of course, everything loves to break on camera. But yeah, applying the... just imagine that it applied. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that and see what's going on. Gotta love the startup sound. It never gets old. I know I say that, but even saying it never gets old, really never gets old. So we'll go to Desktop Architect again. And I wonder if our custom web stuff in here is still applied. Yeah, it is. So that applied fine. I don't know what happened with this. Let's just browse for it again. Worst case scenario, I can just manually modify it myself. Let's go to, yeah, I wonder if it's because we have plus 98 installed. I wonder if that's interfering with it somehow. Anyway, so we'll just come back to this. But yeah, you also, if you go to appearance here, this is pretty much a recreation of the, if you go under appearance here in the display properties, where you can select a color scheme and you can modify individual items. But you have more items to modify. Normally in display properties, the only 3D item you can modify is 3D objects, but over here in Desktop Architect, we've got 3D objects as well as 3D shadow, 3D light, 3D highlight, 3D face, and 3D dark shadow. You also have grade text, you've got hot tracking, and you have window frame down here at the bottom. So you do have some additional things. You can of course modify the size and the font and the color and all that. Then you've got this 3D object slider, which you can use to change how 3D that the windows are. So you can make this really obnoxious and lower it completely, and then you like can't even see the like where the buttons are, and this is, yeah, I would not really want to use windows like this, but you theoretically could. Yeah, you can invert it as well, which actually looks kind of cool. We could make it raised and then invert it, and that kind of gives you this kind of trippy looking thing going on here, because all the text boxes and stuff are like popping out. But we could maybe select a color scheme here. Let's select, oh gosh, I don't know, maple. So we could select that, and then we could click on individual, because you can also do just like you can in display properties, how you can pick the option or the thing that you want to modify. You can do that in here as well. So maybe I want to hit the active title bar, and I want to increase the font and the colors and all that. So you've seen all that before. That is nothing new, but you do have some additional options in here as well, which I think is nice. And we could maybe modify like the 3D dark shadow, if you want this to be, I don't know, like a greenish hue there. So there's the shadow. You can faintly see it around there. Let's go to, I don't know, 3D highlight, and we can change that a little bit. Let's maybe make that a kind of darkish green there, like that. And let's do 3D objects. We can do from there, but let's do 3D face maybe. We can change that maybe to a nice, I don't know, cyan bluish color. It's kind of giving me a bit of a Windows Whistler vibe, like early Windows Whistler, just with the color alone, nothing else. But yeah, so that is appearance. I feel like I should just change this to something else, something a little bit more like eye-pleasing for the rest of the video, so that you guys don't like go, oh gosh, that's so awful. But yeah, so there's appearance. Under desktop, you've got, this is pretty much, screensaver and desktop background, so nothing ultra special in here. You can preview screensavers from here as well, so that's nice. Again, just like a nice consolidation of display properties, and with some other things that you can't get in display properties, like the sounds. I mean, this is a separate control panel item, so that is nice that they've added that in here. And settings, you can choose what in your theme will apply. So say for example you don't want the colors to apply, you could uncheck that. Maybe you don't want the startup and wait and shutdown logos to apply, you could uncheck that. And so let's say that I had this exactly how I wanted it, and now I want to save it as a theme file and then be able to give it to other people. Well, what I can do first is just go up here to save as, and we can go to our desktop and just call this, cool theme. And there you go. So now this is a Windows theme file. But then I can go to Tools and Package, and I can browse for that theme file. So there it is. We'll hit Open, and we'll hit Next. And then it's going to figure out what files it needs to package with the theme file. So that's going to be our modified logo files for the boot screen and all the stuff in Windows Explorer. We've got our wallpaper here. I really love this wallpaper, by the way. If you have no idea why I have this wallpaper set this way, check out my Microsoft Plus 98 video for context. And then we've got the SCR file for the screensaver. If you had any fonts, you would add them in here. And you hit Next. And then you can enter a custom message. So like, hey, please install this really cool theme and check out my YouTube. Thanks, Michael MJD. We'll hit Next, and it saves it into an executable, so we'll just have it on our desktop. That's fine. We'll hit Next, and we'll hit Next again, and it will package it all up for us. And there we go, finish. So we'll finish there, close out of that, we'll hit Apply again here. And now, if I were to double click on this, it'll come up and say this theme package was created using Desktop Architect. So it tells you where to download Desktop Architect if you don't already have it, and you would hit Next. And there's my message I just typed in. We'll hit next again, and it asks, hey, where do you want to, extract it to? We'll hit next, and then we'll hit next again, and it will decompress everything. And then I could go into Desktop Architect and then open the theme from there. So yeah, really, really cool stuff. That's one of the cool things that I was really immediately intrigued by this program, is because there's just a lot of sharing capability. You can make your own theme, share it with your friends, put it on your website, do whatever you want. In addition to all that, there is a randomizer. If we go into options here and click on settings under randomizer here, this allows you to have it cycle through themes every however long. So maybe I want to make this every like 1 minute and just use all themes in the current theme directory, or you could just select individual ones here and you could choose what elements you want it to apply. And then we'll hit OK. And now in 1 minute, it should just randomly apply a theme for us. So let's see if it does that. And there we go. So it looks like it has applied the More Windows theme, I think. I'm pretty sure this is the More Windows theme. So yeah, pretty cool. And it does run in the background. So if you close out of it here, you see it's in the system tray. So you could just apply a theme right from here if you want to. So let me maybe say science. You could just easily swap over to that. Really nice too. That I didn't even realize when I was testing this off camera. So yeah, that is super nice. So we're going to go ahead and just turn that off. We'll just do not use the randomizer so it stops cycling through it here for us. And we'll get out of that and we'll close out of the Desktop Architect program there, because we're going to take a look at version 2.11, which was the last version that was released. And this comes from the early 2000s. And the reason why I wanted to show you this is just to show you how the program changed over time. And because this does add some additional stuff. And it also, if you didn't notice, it installs it to a different directory. This time it's just C, program files, and Desktop Architect instead of freeware, which is this one here. We'll just go ahead and just get rid of this so we don't have any problems with this conflicting with the other version. So we'll go in there and run da.exe. And we'll say, yeah, sure, we'll view the README. So this comes from, okay, so it says 2001 here. And you've got a change log down here, changes and fixes from 2.0. So there's all the stuff that was changed and added. And looks like beta 9 came before that. So yeah, this is, yeah, definitely a pretty large change log here. And you got Ken Foster's name down there and his email address and his website. So yeah. We'll go ahead and close out of this. And you also probably saw this did you know pop-up. This is like a tip thing that shows every time at startup when you're not opening a theme by default. We'll just say always show tips at startup, why not? You've got pretty much the same core functionality, but if we go to icons here, there are way more icons in here that you can modify compared to the original 5. So you've got like Internet Explorer, you could change that icon, the taskbar, program group common, web folders, the desktop icon, a bunch of stuff, which is pretty nice. And the other thing too, if we go up to tools here, the randomizer has been renamed the scheduler, and there's some additional functionality in here too. So if we go to scheduler and hit add, and this really gives me a task scheduler vibe because you've got a day and time in here, however often you want it to go through the themes, and you can even pick themes from other folders. Now, of course, you could just add the theme file to the default themes directory and use it in the other version, but this one here, you don't have to do that. So you could pick as many folders as you want in here, and you've got settings here, kind of the same thing that we saw in the other version. You can choose what components of the theme that you want to actually take effect. The other thing too is the help documentation is complete now. So if we go in here and go to overview, there's a lot more info here compared to just that little blurb we got that said this is still being worked on. So it tells you all the different components, and we can go back to the index and or let's just go to contents actually. Got copyright info. You've got FAQ, technical support, command line support, and yeah, also you can make the window full screen, which is nice, just kind of a minor thing. Oh yeah, and one more thing before I end off the video. Let's just go into our C drive here and manually add the logo.sys file that I made so that we can take a look at this frickin' boot screen. So we'll go logo.sys, We'll copy it there. Yes, we'll replace it. Not going to bother backing up the original one. And yeah, let's restart. There we go. Again, it's not animated, but I really like how it turned out. I think I did a pretty good job, although I just messed around in Photoshop for a few minutes. But yeah, I promise you this worked when I did this off camera in a VM. I think because we've got 98 Plus on here, because 98 Plus has its own boot screen that it might be overriding R file with. But yeah, I mean, that is Desktop Architect. It's just kind of a brief little overview of it, but I really love this customization software. I know I've said that a few times, probably in this video and just throughout the history of this channel, but just customizing Windows to give it your own personal feel was always one of the things that I love to do. In fact, I can vividly remember using programs like Bootskin and Logon Studio on Windows XP, which I've done videos on both of those programs actually like a few years ago, more than a few years ago actually. I think it was like 2018 or 2019. Gosh. Doesn't seem like it was that long ago. But yeah, I'll have both of these files down below if you guys would like to check these programs or versions of this program out for yourself. But that's pretty much it for me. I just want to thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this one, be sure to give it a thumbs up, get subscribed, all that good stuff. And as always, I will see you all in the next video.